What if I whispered to you, in the deepest quiet of your consciousness, that the vast silence you associate with the deceased is the most profound auditory illusion, and that those who have crossed over are, in fact, intensely present, more active and closer to you right now than you dare to believe? I know the immediate response that calculation center in your brain is running. It is labeling this information as pure fantasy, as the desperate projection of a grieving mind, or perhaps the fanciful stuff of sentimental folklore. That analytical voice-whispering doubt is essential for navigating the physical plane, but it is utterly ill-equipped to map the topography of the spiritual one. I invite you to silence that inner skeptic, just for a moment, and allow me to offer a different lens, one grounded not in theological speculation, but in the experiential evidence gathered by the man known as the sleeping prophet, Edgar Cayce. Cayce, while in his deep self-induced trance state, didn't just diagnose physical ailments, he repeatedly charted the immediate energetic neighborhood of the living. He revealed that the great separation we perceive, the vast chasm of death, is structurally inaccurate. It is not an abyss, but a subtle change in vibrational density. Think of it this way. Your physical reality is a dense, slow-moving current of water, and their existence is the air just above it, constantly touching, frequently merging, yet experienced differently based on the observer's medium. Do you ever feel an inexplicable awareness of being watched, a palpable shift in the atmosphere of an empty room? That sensation is not delusion. It is often the recognition of this energetic adjacency. When you experience that sudden, inexplicable coldness in a warm room, or when a fleeting scent of a loved one's cologne or perfume drifts through the air where they haven't walked for years, the world quickly dismisses this as coincidence, emotional overload, or merely random neuronal firing. That is the crucial mistake we must avoid. We are not talking about simple psychological coping mechanisms. We are discussing verifiable, conscious interaction that follows precise spiritual laws. These occurrences are not random static. They are the intentional coded signals that Edgar Cayce spent decades decoding. He outlined 7 specific, unmistakable signals, tangible evidence that demonstrates just how thin the curtain truly is and how deliberately the departed interact with our conscious, waking life. These are not merely abstract theories of visitation. They are systemic communications designed to guide and comfort. Your soul already recognizes this truth, even if your logical mind resists the data. Have you ever felt that insistent nudge toward a specific decision? A sudden sense of profound clarity that arrives without any logical precursor? That isn't coincidence. That is often direct, intentional interaction. Are you ready to stop dismissing these precious moments as mere accidents of the mind and start recognizing them as the precise, loving language of those who guide you from beyond the veil? These 7 signs are the keys to understanding the hidden life that surrounds you, inviting you not just to observe, but to participate consciously in the grand, continuous conversation of existence. I know exactly what just happened inside your mind. The moment I spoke of 7 precise loving signs and a grand, continuous conversation with the dead, your internal gatekeeper, that stern, efficient guard of reality, slammed the door shut. This is the moment of crisis for every seeker. The rational, analytical mind demands that you categorize what I am saying, and it only has 2 labels readily available, either fantasy or grief. That voice is loud, isn't it? It's the one that whispers with a chilling confidence, "This is not profound communication. This is merely the pathology of grief." It insists that the synchronicities you feel, the improbable moments of remembrance, or the sudden clear scent that defies the laws of physics, are only your brain trying to fill the void, creating phantom connections out of deep, aching sorrow. It attempts to categorize the sacred, labeling your deepest, most validating experiences as nothing more than wishful thinking, a desperate psychological coping mechanism designed to ease the intolerable pain of loss. You are being asked to navigate the narrow passage between genuine spiritual truth and the comfortable dismissal of the concrete world. We live in a society that teaches us to trust only what we can weigh, measure, and dissect under the fluorescent light of scientific certainty. But let me ask you, is the function of true, honest logic to disprove everything outside its current operating parameters, or is it to remain humbly open to new evidence? You hold within you a deeply complex emotional truth, the living memory of a loved one, that transcends any purely scientific quantification. If your profound grief is the gaping hole, why does your mind try to fill it with the cheap plaster of dismissal instead of the genuine, solid architecture of truth? Think of your rational mind as a magnificent ancient library. It holds all the verifiable books of history, science, and known facts. It is the fortress of your sanity, built to protect you from chaos. But when a gentle whisper comes from outside those walls, a specific symbol, a sudden flash of insight, an utterly improbable coincidence, the librarian immediately shoves it back onto the shelf labeled fiction or jumbled irrelevant data. I honor the fortress you've built to survive, but the profound truths revealed by Edgar Cayce, the continuous energetic laws of the spirit, demand a temporary suspension of that librarian's judgment. Your challenge now is to recognize that sometimes the most critical messages are not written in the established texts, but delivered through the living energy that brushes softly against the windows. Does your pain truly permit the truth to pass through? Or has the protective shield of your sorrow become so dense that it blocks not only the devastating reality of the loss, but also the subtle, magnificent reality of connection? We must move beyond the trivialization of these sacred moments. We are not examining instances of mental fatigue or convenient coincidence. We are tracking the precise, intentional movements of consciousness that exists outside of time. The first true sign demands that you stop questioning your sanity and instead start trusting the profound wisdom of the aching heart. It is the sign of the unmistakable echo, the confirmation that transcends mere memory. The unmistakable echo you feel in your soul is powerful, but I know the rational core of your being, the part built on logic, ledgers, and peer-reviewed articles, demands more than just an internal sensation. The skeptic residing within you is already drawing a sharp line between profound intuition and convenient delusion. This is the necessary tension, for the truth we seek requires an anchor heavier than mere faith, a foundation built on documentation vast enough to withstand the corrosive winds of disbelief. So let me introduce you to the witness, the man whose historical record acts as the definitive bridge between your aching heart and the undeniable movements of the afterlife. Edgar Cayce. Immediately, I anticipate the reflex. You might think, oh, another medium, another spiritualist claiming contact. But here is where we must make the sacred distinction that changes everything. Edgar Cayce was not a medium, attempting to pull fleeting messages from disparate spirits. That is the banal, often confused communication. Cayce was the why, the sleeping prophet, a cosmic stenographer, who, when entering a profound self-induced trance, accessed what he called the Akashic records, the universal, indelible library of all human experience, past, present, and future. What kind of credential can silence the sophisticated skeptic? How about the documented testimony of over 14,200 life readings, accumulated across 43 years, meticulously catalogued, indexed, and preserved by the Association for Research and Enlightenment? This wasn't guesswork. It was systematic revelation. He wasn't talking to the dead. He was reading the universal blueprint of the conscious soul, documenting its journey between incarnations, detailing exactly what these aspects of consciousness, our loved ones, our guides, our highest selves, are doing right now in the unseen realms. This is the power of the sleeping prophet: volume, consistency, and specificity. His revelations concerning life between lives weren't just abstract philosophy. They were detailed geographical maps of the spiritual planes, specifying the energetic tasks and lessons souls undertake when they temporarily shed the physical garment. Have you ever encountered a body of evidence so large that it stops being an anecdote and starts demanding recognition as an organizational structure? The significance of Cayce is this: he stripped the metaphysical of its wishy-washy ambiguity and gave it the weight of a verifiable legal deposition. He offers us permission to trust the profound because the profane has been so thoroughly documented. We are not depending on a single fleeting vision. We are reviewing a library catalogued by a man who had zero conscious access to the information he relayed. Accepting the historical fact of Cayce's work is the first step in accepting the structural reality of your own consciousness beyond the five senses. Are you prepared to exchange your skepticism for verifiable truth, knowing that the transformation ahead is based on thousands of pages of documented evidence, not simple spiritual hope? If you can trust the witness, you can begin to understand the territory. Because the first truth Cayce revealed about the soul's journey is that when consciousness leaves the body, it immediately encounters a divine law, an energetic gate that demands absolute accountability before the journey can continue. And that law, my friend, is shockingly simple yet utterly inescapable. The moment consciousness encounters that absolute law of accountability, it completely shatters the most comforting myth we hold about death, the idea of immediate, eternal rest. I must tell you this plainly. If you envision the afterlife realm as a luxurious, silent hammock of perpetual repose, you have fundamentally missed the central, vibrant truth revealed across thousands of Edgar Cayce's readings. The deceased are not resting. They are profoundly, actively, and energetically engaged. The Cayce framework posits the existence of what many spiritual traditions call the bardo, or the astral plane, a transitionary zone that is not a static heaven or a fixed hell, but a hyper-dynamic field of intensive calibration and focused learning. It is not an endpoint of relaxation, it is a midpoint of acceleration. The soul, having shed the density of the physical body, now experiences immediate, unfiltered, energetic consequences of its previous life. And this new environment, this vast shimmering academy of the spirit, demands immediate participation. Their work now becomes twofold, purifying their own karmic patterns and, crucially, engaging in active, cooperative service to the living. Do you ever sense that life itself is too vital, too dynamic, too overflowing with momentum to simply cease its journey when the physical shell fails? That nagging feeling is not mere sentimentality. It is an echo of cosmic truth. We often mistake the spiritual focus of the departed for the vague, terrifying concept of purgatory. But this is a critical difference. It is not punishment driven by judgment. It is pure growth, driven by love and necessity. They are not held in a passive waiting room. They are immersed in a workshop, refining their energetic understanding before their next evolution. Think of the soul leaving the physical body not as a vacationer arriving at the beach, but as a deep-sea diver surfacing. There is a period of necessary decompression and intense recalibration before the next plunge into experience. This astral field, this active bardo, is not sealed off or remote. It is the energetic tapestry immediately surrounding our own dimension. It functions as a dynamic reservoir of wisdom, insight, and assistance. Therefore, their state of activity is directly linked to your daily reality. When you suddenly feel an inexplicable surge of guidance or clarity, or when a solution to an old intractable problem suddenly clicks into place with pristine simplicity, you might dismiss this as mere luck or a spontaneous mental breakthrough. But according to Cayce, this is not random chance, it is the invisible hand of cooperative consciousness, often the souls who loved you most, actively engaged in fulfilling their divine service requirement. It is absolutely vital to stop seeing the subtle, yet undeniable interventions in your life as mere coincidence. They are not coincidences, they are communications from a field of active duty. Does it shift your perspective, even slightly, to realize that the unseen forces helping guide your decisions are not static deities high above, but frequently the evolving souls of your family and mentors, diligently fulfilling their duty right now? If this realm is in fact a vast field of service, it means you must step out of passive belief and into the identity of a conscious participant. The great mystery is unlocked when you realize they are not waiting for you to catch up. They are working with you, assisting the upliftment of the Earth's vibration. The challenge now becomes, how do you recognize their presence in your life? And how do you consciously collaborate with a reality you cannot physically touch? What if I told you that the silence you experience, The terrifying final quiet that followed their physical leaving is not the end of communication, but the loudest, most complex signal they could possibly be broadcasting into your life. I know that the part of you trained by cynicism and material physics immediately demands empirical, solid proof. That logical calculator builds a mental barrier, whispering, if they are truly here, why can't I see them? If they are working, why is my life still difficult? But I invite you to silence that voice just for a moment. This journey is about recognizing that your beloved soul has not abandoned the work. They have simply changed their mode of assistance. It is crucial to understand that the presence we seek is not pathology or wishful thinking. It is partnership, a conscious, ongoing collaboration between two realities. We must learn to differentiate the spiritual signal from the mundane static. These 7 signals, revealed through the deep, consistent wisdom of Edgar Cayce's readings, serve as the living, undeniable confirmation that your beloved soul is indeed an active agent operating within your current timeline. They are the subtle shifts in reality that prove the veil between worlds is far thinner than you believe. Have you ever experienced a sudden cascade of meaningful synchronicity, a series of events that align so perfectly they defy the laws of probability? That is not mere luck or coincidence, that is spiritual choreography. It is the invisible hand adjusting the environment, tuning the dial of the world to facilitate your necessary breakthrough or growth. What about the moments when deep anxiety or crisis suddenly gives way to an inexplicable, profound inner peace? Not the denial of pain, but a wave of warm, unearned strength that tells you, implicitly, you are held. This sensation is not mental fatigue or apathy. This is the direct, energetic infusion of their stabilizing force into your emotional core. Or perhaps you wake from a dream, holding the complete, actionable solution to a problem you went to bed struggling with. A dream so vivid and structured that it felt more real than sitting in a conference room. This is not the subconscious mind cycling through daily stress. This is direct, non-verbal instruction, delivered precisely when the defenses of the conscious ego are finally lowered. Be watchful too for the sudden, powerful physical sensation, a distinct warmth across your shoulders, or a momentary feeling of being wholly encompassed, appearing in a moment of great decision or vulnerability. This is not physiological abnormality. This is the tangible, energetic signature of their embrace, a subtle physical nudge to move forward or pause. And what about those recurring symbols, those small, highly specific anchors, a specific species of bird, a vintage song played in 3 disparate locations, a phrase you only ever heard them use, that constantly jump out at you? That is not obsession or psychological projection. That is their signature language, the unique stamp they use to announce their involvement. You are not merely mourning the silence. You are learning to translate the symphony. Your task now is not to wait for proof, but to develop the emotional fluency to interpret these daily miracles. When you begin to recognize these 7 undeniable signals, you move beyond passive belief and step firmly into the identity of the conscious co-creator. Are you prepared to stop dismissing the sacred whispers as coincidence and begin the active collaboration with the tireless love that surrounds you? This recognition is the key to unlocking the power they are actively extending to you right now. We are moving now past the abstract promise of connection and into the undeniable mechanics of collaboration. When you begin to recognize the power they are actively extending to you right now, you step onto the ladder of ascent. 6 distinct stages, escalating in clarity and purpose, that prove this sacred relationship is not passive, but dynamic. This is not about believing in the ethereal. This is about calibrating your internal senses to the language of persistence, the relentless love that refuses to be silenced by the veil separating the worlds. At the very base of this ladder, at the 0 point of communication, there is the palpable sense of presence. You know this feeling, that sudden, intense, total awareness that you are absolutely, definitively not alone in the room. Your immediate conditioned response is to label it fatigue or deep unresolved grief, or perhaps a shadow of emotional stress. But I urge you to look closer at the physics of the encounter. This is often reported not as psychological disturbance, but as a genuine physical change, a sudden drop in temperature, a heaviness or density in the air, a warmth concentrated in a specific, otherwise empty corner. This is what we must understand. It is not psychological projection. It is localized electromagnetic pressure, a displacement of energy that tells your physical body, "I am here." Have you been dismissing this tangible shift as mere coincidence? As you accept that initial validation, the signals become more personalized, more insistent, climbing the next rungs. Have you ever smelled the distinct, forgotten aroma of your loved one's pipe tobacco, or their specific perfume, suddenly manifesting in a space where it is physically impossible? Have you felt that unmistakable, gentle pressure, a hand placed reassuringly on your back, encouraging you forward, or perhaps stopping you in your tracks, only to turn and find the space empty? These are the subtle, undeniable confirmations. They are the spirit world's way of tapping you on the shoulder, not to frighten you, but to confirm their attendance and test the circuit of communication. Are you recognizing these intimate intrusions as sacred validation, or are you still dismissing them as simple misfiring neurons? The culmination of this initial ascent is the working dream. This is the highest gift of conscious collaboration, far beyond the typical memory dream or subconscious processing of the day. While a memory dream brings comfort by allowing you to relive a moment, a working dream brings instruction. You wake up not just rested, but informed. This is the moment when the precise blueprint for your next move, a critical warning you needed to hear, a solution to a problem that seemed insurmountable, or the necessary insight to heal an old wound, is downloaded directly into your consciousness. They are using the downtime of your conscious mind to pass you the exact logistical information you needed for your waking life. These 6 signals form an escalating language designed to pull you out of doubt and into acceptance of partnership. They are the energetic pokes telling you, "We are here, listen and act." Every time you ignore that sudden, inexplicable urge, that compelling nudge away from or toward a decision, you are stepping off the bottom rung of the ladder. The true power revealed here is not in knowing the dead are active, but in understanding that you are the primary designated receptor. The question is no longer whether they are sending the signs, but whether you are prepared to shed the skeptical armor and identify as the fully collaborative being they know you to be. We have identified the energetic receptor in you, the place where the last vestiges of skepticism fade and true communication begins. This preparation leads us now to the 7th and most powerful signal, a phenomenon so counterintuitive that your highly protective, logical mind will immediately try to categorize it as shock, denial, or simple emotional fatigue. This final, unmistakable sign is the emergence of profound, unshakable peace, not after the storm of crisis has passed, but precisely at the zenith of your greatest fear. This is a crucial point of differentiation. The sign we are discussing is absolutely not resignation. Resignation is a weary surrender, a passive, defeated acceptance that everything is entirely out of control. That is an ego-based defense mechanism. What you experience here is fundamentally different. It is an active, divine intervention in your emotional landscape. Have you ever faced a catastrophic diagnosis, confronted a sudden, irreversible loss, or stood at the precipice of a decision that could shatter your entire world, only to feel a curious, warm stillness wash over you? A calm so deep and pervasive that it feels alien to your own biology. That unexpected stillness is the proof. Edgar Cayce illuminated this phenomenon, revealing that this peace is the undeniable evidence that the departed soul, the one you love, is not merely watching from a distance. They are actively operating ahead of your conscious awareness. They are functioning as your spiritual advance guard. When the tidal wave of terror should be overwhelming you, their soul energy, unbound by the limitations of the physical plane, moves forward and smooths the turbulence in the energetic field surrounding you. They are literally passing ahead of your problem, neutralizing the signature of fear before it can fully register in your nervous system. Think of your mind as a vast, turbulent ocean during a hurricane. Normally, fear is the crushing wave that breaks your stability. But in that moment of ultimate, unmistakable peace, it is as if a massive, unseen, stabilizing force, the soul of your loved one, dropped an anchor the size of a continent into your emotional depth. The surface may still churn with overwhelming facts and demands, but the deep currents of your being are perfectly still. This profound quietude is not apathy, it is absolute certainty that you are guided and protected. Do you recall that moment of clarity when the world was ending around you, yet you knew with absolute confidence exactly what precise step to take next? That instantaneous clarity is the unmistakable evidence of their continued protective work. If you have felt this quiet assurance, stop trying to intellectualize it away as a fluke, or reducing it to a psychological quirk. We are observing proof of collaborative existence across the veil, far beyond simple psychological defense mechanisms. To recognize this peace is to recognize yourself, the receptor, as fundamentally worthy of this divine protection. The invitation inherent in this final sign is not merely to appreciate the phenomenon, but to embody the peace it provides. Your practice now is to accept this stillness as the deepest truth of your ongoing connection. Live from that place of guaranteed quietude, acknowledging that in the moments that matter most, you are never walking alone, because the ultimate anchor has already been dropped. The next phase of recognition is understanding what this absolute certainty means for your own trajectory, and how the quality of their presence actually changes the quality of your future self. The certainty we established, that their presence is the unshakable anchor of your existence, is not meant to be a passive comfort. It is the absolute prerequisite for action. The question now is no longer if they are there, but how. You intentionally invite them into the cockpit of your daily life. I know what your analytical mind is already doing. It's classifying this as mere meditation or perhaps as wishful, generalized prayer. But I promise you, this practice is fundamentally different. We are not asking you to search inward for answers you already possess. We are asking you to create a deliberate void that a superior intelligence must fill. This is what I call the ritual of the empty dialogue. Imagine your consciousness is a massive, highly sensitive docking station. All day long it's cluttered with the junk of the external world, receipts, hurried conversations, the persistent soundtrack of anxiety. To communicate with those who reside beyond the veil, you must first clear the runway. The preparation is simple. Tonight, before you sleep, find 10 minutes of absolute, unnegotiated silence. You must accept that the first few minutes will be intensely uncomfortable. Your ego, terrified of relinquishing control, will try to bombard you with every unfinished task and forgotten memory. Do not engage. You are not trying to solve a problem through logic. You are creating a sanctuary for guidance. This is the differentiator. You are not calming the mind to achieve internal peace. You are quieting the instrument so that the foreign sacred signal can be received. It is not psychological de-stressing, it is spiritual engineering. Are you brave enough to confront the immediate internal noise that tries to tell you this emptiness is a waste of time? Once the shallow noise has receded, and it will, you must issue the command. This command is not a vague plea for blessing. It must be a precise instruction of surrender. You speak silently or aloud to your guides, your loved ones, your Cayce connection, and you state, I open this channel tonight. I give you permission to fully utilize my intuition, my dreams, and my immediate path tomorrow. I command you to offer the guidance needed for the next crucial step in my destiny, knowing that I will act upon the guidance delivered. This is a mutual contract of faith, a powerful energetic mandate you are issuing into the cosmos. You are not asking for a sign, you are giving them the authority to interfere. The challenge here lies in the follow-through. You must understand that this guidance rarely manifests as a booming voice or a spectral apparition. It arrives subtly, almost camouflaged as your own thought. The sudden, non-negotiable urge to call a specific person, the unexpected cancellation that frees up a critical hour, the specific book that literally falls off the shelf and into your hands. This isn't coincidence. This is the activated answer to your empty dialogue. Do you have the integrity to recognize the immediate, actionable instruction that comes disguised as a normal day? And more importantly, do you have the courage to follow it, even if it makes zero logical sense? The quality of your future self is not determined by the complexity of the command you issue tonight, but by the swiftness of your obedience tomorrow. You are not a seeker of wisdom. You are the mandated recipient of direction. Go tonight, clear the deck, and command the light to find its way through the fog. We have traversed the Shadowlands, illuminated by the radical insights of Edgar Cayce. We didn't seek easy answers. We chased the undeniable evidence of the soul's continuation, the lingering echoes of love that defy the boundaries of the grave. You have been exposed to the mechanics of vibration, the tireless work of the transitioning soul, and the precise signals that shatter the illusion of final separation. Now the quiet contemplation must end, and the intentional action must begin. You have been a dedicated listener, absorbing these revelations into the reservoir of your knowledge. But I ask you now, are you truly ready to cease being merely a recipient of knowledge and finally become an architect of destiny? Are you prepared to stop being the one surviving the storm and start acting as the lighthouse guiding the connection? For too long, you may have worn the heavy cloak of lachrymose grief, a natural, understandable reaction, yes, but one that threatens to become your ultimate paralyzing identity. I want you to understand the critical difference we must implement. Spiritual grief is not perpetual sadness. It is the profound intentional activation of love that refuses to be constrained by physical absence. If you remain anchored only in the pain of loss, you keep yourself separate. If you harness that energy into purpose, you move into dynamic partnership with the consciousness you miss. This is not some psychological trick. This is energetic physics. Your loved ones are not waiting for you to heal completely. They are waiting for you to raise your frequency to meet theirs in conscious co-creation. Do you recognize the distinction between enduring pain and intentionally generating power? I know the mind scrambles for safety at this juncture, demanding quantifiable evidence the world can measure, whispering that this commitment is too intense, too vulnerable. But this is not an evidence game. This is an identity game. You must choose between the predictable, albeit painful, comfort of verifiable reality and the terrifying, limitless potential of the unseen present. Your analysis is complete. Your intuition has been validated. If you continue to merely think about what the dead are doing, you remain suspended, separate from their active reality. To truly engage with the persistent currents of consciousness Cayce described, to move from passive observation of signs to active intentional alignment, you must make a covenant with your higher self. This is the moment where you stop negotiating with the resistance that tries to pull you back into mere survival. It is time to step out of the identity of the bereaved and assume the mantle of the conscious connector. What is the immediate physical representation of this spiritual validation? It is an act of digital sacrament, a clear signal fired across the bow of the universe. If you are truly ready to validate the energetic channel you have spent this time building, if you are ready to command the light to find its way through the fog, then I ask you to make your commitment visible, measurable, and undeniable. Join the ranks of those who choose light over lingering shadow. Stop surviving and start connecting. Subscribe to this channel, and then in the comments below, declare your initiation by writing the single sacred word, Astra. Let that word be the first sound of your new spiritual uniform. Are you ready to let the stars guide your hand? You have made your declaration. You have sounded the ancient note, Astra, and in doing so, you have not merely subscribed to a channel, you have actively signed the living treaty of your soul. This is the ultimate lesson gifted to us by the meticulous records of Edgar Cayce, the profound realization that the relationship we share with those who have passed is not a distant memory, but a sustained, vital frequency. I need you to understand that the isolation you might have felt, that cold, small space where you believed you were wrestling with the monumental challenges of the material world alone, that feeling is now officially archived in the past. Look closely at your hands right now. What if I told you that the energy that flows through your actions, the sudden burst of kindness, the inexplicable wave of patience, the deep, burning dedication to your highest purpose, is not solely originating from your physical five-sense limited body? You are in this very moment a powerful, active recipient of transdimensional love. This is not the passive, sentimental affection of grieving that society recognizes. This is a dynamic energy transfer, a fuel specifically engineered for your soul's purpose. Those noble souls whose service was cut short, whose love remains perfectly intact on the other side of the veil, they are investing their focus, their spiritual weight, into your ongoing mission. They did not simply disappear. They consolidated their energy and entrusted it to you, their chosen recipient. Do you truly grasp the immediate, tangible depth of this partnership? Your daily existence is now elevated into the continuation of their sacred service. When you act with absolute integrity, when you consciously make the ethical choice, even when it hurts, when you refuse to surrender to lower impulses like gossip or fear, that is not merely personal self-improvement. That is the successful execution of a joint venture between your physical self and your tireless spiritual guides. This isn't esoteric superstition. This is the immutable law of resonance in action, confirmed through thousands of readings. The ache you sometimes feel, the deep knowing that you must do better, be kinder, reach higher, that insistent, restless pressure is often mistaken for simple stress or personal ambition. But I tell you, that is the unmistakable sign of their presence, the subtle push of eternal consciousness guiding your rudder. It is the signature of their continued work, imprinted upon your waking choices. Are you ready to stop classifying your persistent spiritual yearning as anxiety and recognize it instead as calling? You are no longer the island battling the tide. You are the conduit, the vessel chosen to carry the unspent light of divine compassion forward. Your commitment to Astra is not a temporary shield. It is a final declaration of your new identity as an active participant in the highest spiritual economy. The homework remains the same, but the motivation has fundamentally shifted from survival to collaborative service. For the next 7 days, I challenge you to look at every act of generosity, every moment of genuine empathy, and acknowledge it not as your own effort alone, but as a profound divine collaboration. See their hands guiding yours. Feel the tangible strength of that eternal current backing your every single step. Do not merely seek knowledge, embody the wisdom. Your transformation is complete, but your practice has just begun. Continue to share your experiences below, and let the energy of your commitment fuel this community. Let your light shine so brightly that they cannot help but gather around you. Remember this single, immutable truth revealed by the sleeping prophet. You are known, you are loved, and you are never, ever alone in the light. Go and serve. Go and connect. The stars are waiting for your next move.